This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, we have Ask Frank Anything this hour. So if you want to start queuing up with a question that has never been asked before, go ahead and call us at 646-720-0635. That's 1-646-720-0635. We'll give a prize to whomever comes up with the best and the most interesting question. Obviously, the big story, as far as I'm concerned, is the incredible come-from-behind victory with the Mets over the Brewers last night, just a few hours ago. And now they're going to be advancing to the NLDS, National League Divisional Series, and they're going to play the Philadelphia Phillies. That's going to be this Saturday afternoon. If you didn't watch the game, or I know some people just don't care about the Mets, it was extraordinary. And one of the best tweets that I saw, I retweeted it, was from someone, Rally Pumpkin Steph. I don't know who that is. But they said that was the craziest ending to a Met game since 3 days ago. It was extraordinary. It was, again, almost the same situation as that game one of that doubleheader against the Braves, where you were hopeful, you were optimistic, you were feeling good, and then all of a sudden they break your heart and they come back and win it in come-from-behind fashion. And hats off to Pete Alonso, the polar bear, a monstrous home run to allow them to take the lead. And I think it was Josh Gundelman who tweeted, and I think he's exactly right, the one thing about being a Met fan is you experience the entire range of human emotion basically every night. And that's the biggest difference between being a Met fan and a Yankee fan. You don't feel this way, I think, rooting for any other team. I don't think there's any other team that brings you through the entire roller coaster of emotions the way the Metropolitans do in almost every game. So I'm excited. At this point, given where the Metropolitans started the season, we've already gotten much farther than anybody ever expected. And to win in the first round of the playoffs, especially against the team that had our number last week, kudos to everybody. The entire team. Obviously, I don't think it's possible to have a season better than the one that Francisco Lindor has had. Even the manager, Carlos Mendoza, I was a critic of the decision to fire Buck Showalter, and I still don't think he was the problem. But how do you argue with the job that Mendoza has done this year? This is exciting. And I am remembering the immortal words of the great Tug McGraw. You gotta believe. I certainly do.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. You know, I am not fond of Congressman Michael Lawler for a variety of reasons, both personal, professional, and political. He's just not my favorite person. I wouldn't want him representing me. I have some real questions about some of his conduct, both as a campaign operative and as a politician, and his voting record. So when I saw yesterday that he had admitted to wearing blackface while in college, I tweeted something snarky, basically that this was the least surprising thing about any member of the New York delegation, because of course, the one guy that's going to do this is a guy like Mike Lawler. And then I actually read the story, and I regretted tweeting that, and I deleted it. If you haven't heard about this, photos unearthed yesterday show first-term Congressman Michael Lawler in blackface in 2006 when he was in college. Now, I'm waiting to see what the context is. Is it like a Governor Northam situation or something else? I really think this is not something that should be held against Mike Lawler today. For starters, how many of us have done crazy things when we're in college? The guy's 38 years old, and this was basically when he was 19 or 20 years old. He was dressed as Michael Jackson for essentially a costume party. And he said, and I take him at his word because he is quite good at that moonwalk, and there's even video that has emerged of him from 2014 doing the moonwalk. He said that this was a genuine homage to Michael Jackson. And he tells the Times, "The ugly practice of blackface was the furthest thing from my mind. I'm a student of history, and for anyone who takes offense to the photo, I'm sorry." A year before the photo, Lawler reportedly flew to California as a high school senior to attend Michael Jackson's trial on molestation charges. Lawler is a monstrous Michael Jackson fan, and always has been. He was actually removed from the courtroom after saying something derogatory under his breath. That came out, not now, but in a biography of Michael Jackson back in 2009. So Lawler's dressing up as Michael Jackson, which included darkening his face a little bit, it wasn't an attempt to do a modern-day minstrel show. It wasn't an attempt to be insulting to black people. It was not meant to be racist at all. I think he was trying to dress like an entertainer that he really likes. And I understand why that's problematic for a lot of people, but I don't think this should be held against him. Honestly, if I was evaluating this race as a voter, if I lived in the district between Mondaire Jones and Michael Lawler, I would not have this enter into my thinking at all. It's unfortunate, but I think Lawler has handled this perfectly. And I say this as somebody that's been a critic of his for a long time. So I am giving him a break on this, and I hope the voters do too.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin, and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, here we are, another day and another indictment involving a straw donor scheme, this time in the 2021 Brooklyn Borough President's race, which ironically was the race to succeed Eric Adams. And this, again, underscores the glaring vulnerabilities in the city's campaign finance system. At the heart of this problem is the city's generous 8-to-1 public matching fund program, which is designed to amplify small dollar donations. On paper, and in theory, this program is intended to level the playing field and empower everyday citizens to have a greater voice in elections. In practice, however, it creates a temptation for some campaigns to game the system. The scheme, allegedly orchestrated by Erlene King, treasurer for Anthony Jones's 2021 bid to become the borough president, replacing Eric Adams, demonstrates how campaigns might try to exploit this system. According to federal prosecutors, King solicited a not insignificant amount of money, at least $25,000 in illegal donations, and then falsified records in the hopes of securing $400,000 dollars in public matching funds. This isn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern of abuse that has been cropping up more frequently since the expansion of the matching fund system. One of the major flaws with this system is the sheer size of the match itself. The lure of getting $8 for every $1 raised is simply too tempting for some campaigns to resist bending or outright breaking the rules. This match is arguably too lucrative, and it creates an environment where even well-intentioned candidates or their staffers might feel compelled to take unethical shortcuts in order to maximize their funding. As New York prepares to implement this matching funds program statewide, the risks of abuse and fraud are only going to grow. If such a generous match remains in place, there needs to be a far more rigorous oversight and auditing process to ensure taxpayer dollars are not being siphoned off into fraudulent campaigns. Otherwise, we will continue to see cases like this one, where bad actors attempt to subvert the system for personal gain. In the end, while the public matching fund system is intended to foster a more democratic and equitable campaign finance landscape, it is becoming clear that without proper safeguards, it's opening the door to rampant fraud. This issue has to be addressed not just in New York City, but throughout the state before more taxpayer money is lost in schemes like this.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
It's no secret that federal prosecutors, especially when handling high-profile cases, have a penchant for leaking information to the media, whether intentional or not. These leaks often serve to sway public opinion before a case even goes to trial. Mayor Eric Adams is now accusing the U.S. Attorney's Office of doing exactly that, leaking grand jury details that should have remained confidential under the law. Let me be clear. Whether Adams is guilty or innocent is beside the point here. The issue is how these leaks are part of a broader pattern of behavior that we've seen from U.S. attorneys and federal prosecutors for decades. It's almost as if some of them can't resist the temptation to bend or outright break the rules when a high-profile defendant is involved. Adams is now arguing that his case has been prejudiced by these sort of leaks, and this behavior is not uncommon when the Department of Justice has its eyes set on a conviction. That caller in the first hour who called about the mob, this is exactly what I was talking about. The feds cheat. If the evidence against Adams is strong, as prosecutors claim, then why resort to tactics like leaking? Why can't they simply let the case stand on its own merits without trying to taint the jury pool and manipulate the court of public opinion through backdoor channels to the media? Take a look at other major cases in recent memory, and how many times have we seen sensitive details of an indictment hit the news before the defendant or their lawyers even knew? It's no coincidence that media outlets like the New York Times or the Washington Post have often been the recipients of these leaks, and in almost every case, the leaked details harm the defendant's public image. Whether it's a former president or a sitting mayor, these leaks create a narrative before the defense even has a chance to respond. By the time a jury is seated, much of the public already believes the defendant is guilty. What Adams and his legal team are requesting is simple: hold prosecutors accountable if they violated grand jury secrecy laws. They're asking for a hearing, and if it's proven that leaks occurred, sanctions should follow. But the reality is, leak investigations are rarely successful, and the damage, once done, it's hard to undo. This case is yet another reminder that when it comes to high-profile prosecutions, the justice system is often willing to cut corners to ensure a conviction. Grand jury proceedings are supposed to be secret for a reason. They protect the integrity of the process and ensure that the evidence presented in court is what sways a jury, not leaks that skew public perception. Federal prosecutors need to start playing by the rules, especially when the stakes are this high. If they have the goods on Adams, they should trust that the evidence will be enough. But leaking private proceedings to the media, that's just another form of cheating, and it should never be tolerated, no matter who's in the hot seat.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.